Good evening, Wayne. There he is. How are you tonight?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
So what section were you in last night?
136. What about you?
234.
Okay, you're right behind us.
Yeah, I saw the
Yeah.
back of your head.
Did you see the back of my head? Yeah. Hey, can I put you as a co-host to help with
Yep.
chat? And
Sure.
oh, here's McKenzie. I'm going to make him a co-host too. But if you can help admit people for me
Okay.
and the chat too, that would be appreciated.
Okay, I see you got Jonathan as a co-host, but not me.
Did I just do it? Did you get it now? It says you're a co-host.
Now I am. Yeah.
Now you are? Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm going to let people in then.
Okay.
How are you? None. I'll pay the child.
Yeah, you have that. Or no?
Jesus.
So, okay. Yeah, so Jen can show you, we got them on transportation.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday night Zoom meeting. So tonight we're going to concentrate in
You want me to put your phones on?
No, I'm just gonna go sit in the.
looking at high school officiating. Jonathan's going to give some advice on some misconduct report writing based on some of the misconduct reports. Some of the assigners have been working with referees to make better, so that way your misconducts will be upheld with the disciplinary committee. And then, of course, we always have questions from the group. And Jonathan and Wayne are helping me.
This meeting is being recorded.
So now I'm going to ask everyone to go on mute unless you're wanting to talk. Otherwise, if you make noise, we will be muting you. So that way it doesn't disturb the meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the WOA portion. I know many of you were probably on Taylor Vance's webinar a week ago, and some of these slides will look familiar because I asked Taylor if I could use them tonight. So here's the fees for doing high school games, and that does include the travel fee in this number. So if you do a high school JV center and then you do an AR, take $18 off that $62 to get what you'll actually get paid for that AR spot. But if you just go do an AR spot, at 7:30 at night, you do get that $62. So WOA was very generous in their increases this last year. Just wanted to remind everybody. And then for those that maybe now that you've seen what those game fees are or interested in becoming a WOA official, generally we want you to have 1 year's worth of experience. That way you're kind of prepared for the high school and middle school game. And then for those of you who are 16 and older is really the age group that we're looking for to officiate these games. So that's kind of the two criteria in becoming a WOA official. Next, as always, I'm going to remind you to update your blocks. That way you may get less text from me when we're trying to fill a game. It just helps us know who's available. That doesn't mean you won't get any texts from me, because I have learned in doing this for a few years, people sometimes turn back games, which creates a block when you turn back a game, and then that your schedule changes, and maybe you don't go back in and delete that block, and so you are available. So when I get pretty desperate, I even start texting those that have blocks, and sometimes they're able to help out. Self-assign is available. Just to remind you, to be able to self-assign, you got to have your WOA training completed, which takes 15 minutes or less. And we do allow for games to be self-assigned 30 days out. So probably right now, games through March 27th is available for you to jump onto. And then remember, match reports needs to be completed by the center referee. For those of you who have trouble in remembering how to do match reports, because arbiter is not always the easiest way to remember how to do things. If you go into your schedule, you'll find a red R, and you need to click on that red R, put in your score, and hit submit, which then will turn that red R to a green R. If you go into your schedule after the game and you can't find your game, that probably means you need to change your criteria from future to maybe this month's games. So then that way, hit the apply button, and then you'll have all your games for this month, and you should have a red R then next to the game that you're trying to file the match report. Questions so far? Anything in the chat there, Wayne?
Nothing yet.
Okay, perfect. We'll keep moving right along. I like high school and school games because it makes the concussion protocol so easy for us. Most all of our contests have a healthcare professional that we're going to make sure that we figure out who they are when we get to our game. That way, when we have somebody who meets the criteria of a head injury that needs to be checked out by a healthcare professional, we can let that player know as they're leaving the field to get a approval to come back in, and it makes it nice and easy. When we don't have a healthcare professional at the field and we have signs or symptoms of concussion, remember again, they can't come back onto the field without being checked out by a healthcare provider. One of the things that came out is this discrimination behavior process, and I want to say it came out this fall. I'm going to take a little bit of time here to walk through this to make sure that we get this right. We already had an instance. Oh, and the nice thing is that from a soccer perspective, in the fall, I don't think we had too many of these situations. In the spring, I can see that we maybe will have a little bit more potential for these instances, because sometimes that testosterone just gets in the way and boys say stupid things. But I just want to make sure that we handle it appropriately, because we actually had a complaint that a referee didn't handle it correctly. And after walking through it, Ryan worked with the referee and WOA, and our referee handled it perfectly well. And so I think maybe our coaches and administrators may even be confused. So there is a document, a one-page document that explains this process. I've tried to pare it down to this one slide. So there's kind of two ways that you're going to have a discrimination issue on the field. One, you're going to hear it and you're going to recognize it, and most likely you're going to punish it with a red card because it's going to be something that you know is inappropriate and hits that foul and abusive language that we can punish with a red card. Once you've issued that misconduct, you're going to inform both coaches to remind their teams of the expected behavior for the rest of the competition and that we're not going to put up with that. If you have the ability, and I encourage you, you're going to inform the event management of what's happened as well. And so that means you're going to need to know who your event management is when you get to the field, which is usually pretty easy on some of the stadium fields because they often come and introduce themselves. On some of the JV games or C team games, you probably aren't going to have event management to be able to inform. Then make sure at the end of your game that you are calling Ryan to report your red card, and that you also should let him know that you did follow the discrimination process because you had a player who his actions fell within the scope of the discrimination process. I think that one's the easy one. I think this one is what gets a little bit harder. And I think probably many of us have had in our games where we've had somebody, a player usually, come up to us and say that another player said something to them that they found offending. And based on what they say to you, you probably found it offending as well. We now can't just say, sorry, I didn't hear it. We now need to stop the game, send the teams to their benches, have a conference with the coaches and captains to let them know what has been reported to you, that it will not be tolerated, and that if it happens again, we will all be getting back together again to have the same conversation, and that we really don't want to have to stop a game over that type of behavior. The coaches and captains then need to return to their benches, inform their players of what happened, to let them know that they need to not be partaking in that type of behavior in a school activity. We need to, while they're talking to their benches, again, let the event management know so that they can follow through with the school that was involved, and maybe reinforce that that coach needs to take care of, make sure that their players are not partaking in that type of activity. And then make sure at the end of the game, even though you don't have a red card in this instance, that you let Ryan know that what happened at the game. Sometimes people may go to the event management directly, and they may be trying to get your attention, which, you know, is going to be difficult when we're officiating a game. But maybe the event management may go to one of the ARs and say, hey, we've had this incident, you know, AR, please use your mechanics of, you know, at the next stoppage, put your flag straight up so that way you can call the referee over and the center referee, and you can inform them what's happened. And again, you're going to follow the same procedure that we just talked about of the when you don't hear it, and go through those steps in regards to having a conference with the captains and coaches, letting them know the potential consequences, having them have a conversation with their benches, and then event management already knows. If you have a second occurrence of this, you then repeat the process. And hopefully after the second time, you don't have further occurrences. If you do, the option for us is to stop the match. And I think that's really where you've got to use your critical thinking skills and your problem-solving skills with the coaches and the event management of what they want to do. Again, we're trying to get games played and finished. I believe, if I remember correctly, as long as we've made it through the first half and started the second half, we have a legal game. So if we're in the second half, we may make a different decision than if we're in the first half. But let's try to get the games completed. With that, I'm going to stop and open up questions, comments, concerns on the discrimination process.
Richard, there was one comment in the chat, and you kind of mentioned that this was toward officials or players. Does this also include referees?
Yes. Yeah, so if, so they were asking is if someone has discrimination towards the officials, do we follow the same process?
Correct.
Yeah, we would follow the same process. Anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns?
Coming from a basketball standpoint, I mean, it is much different than soccer, but we had.
Peter, you want to unmute?
Oh,
So
I
we're
think
not
I
hearing
did
you.
it because there's a different name.
Oh, okay. No, I was gonna say because of this worked really well during the basketball and football season, especially with certain matchups that we all know and stuff like that. And event management was really proactive about it, even including fans in the stands as well. That's something that people forget, that it's not right for fans in the stands as well. So yeah, so hopefully it works out for this soccer season.
Yeah, I think I know there's been a lot of issues in basketball and football in regards to these procedures. Ryan and I participate in a weekly WOA assigner call, and they've talked about this a lot in other sports, but there wasn't, like I said, much of it with the girls season, but I think we'll see this probably happen a couple times in the boys. Okay, I'm going to keep us moving along because I know all of you can't wait for Jonathan's. Yep.
We have one
Richard?
more.
Okay,
There was a question about stoppage time, or do we add time for our conferences?
yep, you're adding,
Yeah.
this is a stoppage, so you need to add time. So that will encourage us all to keep it quick. Because as we know, we don't get paid overtime.
Just one other thing, Richard, real quick. You said we handled that initial one perfectly, and I say we handled it mostly perfectly. Just the one really critical reminder is, have that formality of the meeting in the middle of the field. That's the only thing we didn't do. We had a meeting on one side of the field and then a meeting on the other side of the field, and it met the spirit of what they're asking us to do. But as we go into this next season, now that we've actually ran into it for the first time, the one ask was that we just have that formal procedure, middle of the field, bring the coaches, bring the captains, so everyone knows that something is going on, and that it's not just a silent conversation on the sideline one at a time. I know you said it, but I wanted to reiterate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Richard, this is Darren. Just a quick thing. I know you want to move along, but
No, that's okay. I want to take as many questions so we get this right.
so I know that we're having the conversation amongst us, and I know that it sounds like you're having it with the other assigners. Has conversations with the coaches and athletic directors, they're kind of on par with us.
Yeah, all of this information has been widely distributed to deal with these problems. And I think they're really trying to deal with it at the schools. We just, as the officials, get put into the place of enforcement because of when it's happening during the games. But yes, I would say from what I can tell, there has been a lot of conversations with the coaches and players in regards to this type of thing is not acceptable on the during game contest.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, TK.
I just want to say thank you for not naming the referee.
Okay, I'm going to go into some frequently asked questions that I thought was pretty relevant that Taylor shared with his group. If you look on the schedule and you see that a TBA is going to play a TBA at a TBA site, just so you know, it ain't going to happen. That game will not occur. So it's not worth signing up for and blocking you from being able to pick up other games. when schools don't cancel games correctly, this is what happens. And Ryan and I try to go in and clean these up as quickly as we can. But just stay away from those games, because all you're doing is preventing yourself from getting onto games that you really can do. If you arrive at the school and neither team is there, you better be calling Ryan and I to find out what's going on, because the schools do a pretty good job of keeping their schedules accurate. So we probably have a problem that we can quickly call and figure out what the problem is, and or confirm that maybe the game got canceled. If you see a match that's on the master schedule, but you can't self-assign to it, I'll tell you that there's probably hundreds of different reasons why. One may you not be able to be ranked for that game. One may be because Arbiter decided, since you did a game before, you shouldn't do a game. Let's say you're trying to sign up for a game on Thursday and you did a game on Wednesday, and Arbiter will arbitrarily decide that you can't do 2 games 2 days in a row, although in the following week you have a game on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I cannot completely understand what Arbiter does, but sometimes it will block people from being able to assign to games 2 days in a row. So if you are available for a game and you can't self-assign to it, don't hesitate to reach out to me and say, hey, I can do this game. And if it's still there when I get your email, I'll get you on there. If you show up and one school's running late, again, we want to get the games in, and we want to be able to get as much time of the game played. I know sometimes some of us may have 2 games in one night, and if a team shows up a half hour late and we try to get a full game in, I'm now going to be 10 minutes late to my next game. Would be a great example to tell the teams, I'm sorry, but we've got to cut the halves short, so that way I can get to the other game that I've already committed to. I also know that many of us have personal lives outside of officiating. I know that's unbelievable, but if you do have something personal in which you have to be somewhere at a certain time, which isn't flexible, I think people can be understanding. But if we do have the possibility to get that full game in, I encourage you to do that as well. Let's just be reasonable all around. And I think the schools will be there as well. If you get to your game 30 minutes in advance and the rest of your crew isn't there, I encourage you to be reaching out to them to make sure they're on their way, since all of us should be 30 minutes through our games in advance. Both coaches agreed to have longer warm-ups and want to extend the halves. What do I do? If we have both teams there ready for kickoff at game time, we then do our 2 40-minute halves and we're out of there. We are paid based on that agreement with WOA, and so we do not need to be doing longer halves, nor do we need to be providing them longer warm-up periods if it's not weather or transportation related. Hopefully some of those FAQs was helpful. Anybody have any questions or other questions that didn't get covered?
Is Liberty the only school that does overtime? Kinko?
I don't know. I haven't looked that far. Ryan?
Renton is overtime.
Any Kinko school, so Hazen would be in there as well.
Yes, yeah. Any schools in the Kinko conference have overtime, and that is the only conference that we assign for that has overtime in the spring.
And Ryan, can you remind me what the overtime procedures are for Kinko games?
2 5-minute halves.
And there's no golden goal.
Right. No golden goal. Yeah.
Right. Because when we get to playoffs, there are 2 5-minute overtimes with golden goal.
Yep. And don't let your coaches convince you otherwise. We had that happen in the fall. They wanted to play full time, not golden goal. And so it does change when we go into the state playoffs.
To Richard's point about teams showing up late. In basketball season, we've had a few transportation issues where buses were not available. So that will occur for us as well too.
Yeah. Yeah, there school districts transportation departments is having just as much of a resource problem as we are with getting officials to officiate games. So they try to do the best they can. If you want to do playoffs, this is Taylor's advice. One is complete your RTO requirements. If you do not complete the RTO requirements when that comes out, Ryan and I don't even see you in the playoff group in order for us to be able to put you on games. There were many people in the fall who I would have loved to have used on playoff games, but since they didn't complete the RTO requirements, I didn't get to use them. And I tried to text people when I noticed it, but I'm not always going to notice it. So make sure you have those done. Good rapport with your peers and coaches. We do get feedback from your peers and coaches. And so that helps us in deciding who gets post-game assignments. Make sure you're arriving early, communicating with your crew members, making sure that everybody's there. Don't turn back a lot of games, and I really don't care when they're out there in advance. But once you've gone past the time in which you can turn them back yourself, that becomes a pain for all of us, and that may persuade you from getting postseason games. And then make sure that you do what's needed for the game. We know that sometimes we got to be a little creative in the high school boys game. There's a lot of testosterone. They're playing for their schools. Their girlfriends are in the stands. Their parents and everybody else are up there. And so they sometimes do stupid stuff, but let's try to be the ones that still have a brain and officiate the match appropriately. I'm going to give you my keys to success on misconducts. We ran into some problems here in the past, and I want to make sure we keep ourselves out of trouble. So I know that Sandy Hunt always says that your second caution should be for something worse than the first caution. So try to use that as a good rule of thumb. If you've given somebody misconduct for a reckless tackle, their second caution really shouldn't be for dissent unless they've completely handcuffed you in many different ways. But you probably should be able to use your personality to get out of it. No player should be given a second yellow card without the game restarting. And especially in high school, because what happens when a player gets a yellow card in high school?
They have to leave the pitch unless it's
Off the field.
Yep, they have to leave the field. So I do not know how anybody could give out a second yellow when the player already has to leave the field. So make sure that we're not giving out second yellows without the restart of the game. You may lose your centers if you give a second yellow without a restart of the game. We are there in the role of the referee. We are not there in the role of the parent for those of us who are parents. If the kids wanted to be parented at that moment in time, they all would have stayed home and hung out with their parents to be parented. So let's try to remember that we're the referees and we just need to officiate the game. And sometimes we just got to walk away from the situation so that we're not throwing gasoline on the fire. So with that, anybody have any questions they want to discuss about high school officiating this spring?
There was a question, Richard, about do completed RTO requirements from this past fall apply to the spring?
Excellent question. And probably I'll be able to give you an answer in about probably 8 weeks. I hope so. But sometimes WOA decides that they need to have us do that class again. And I know the RTO training this last fall was like a slide that you just confirmed that you did the slide, I think, if I remember right. There wasn't even any material to it. So they may have something that they may want to be reinforcing with referees that are doing the playoff games. So there may be a little bit more training and they may make us do it again. Anything else in the chat or anybody else have questions? Hey, Ryan, how many red cards did we give in the fall season?
I'm like going back to my, I don't even know if we gave, I think we maybe gave one, maybe. We may not even have one in the fall.
Yeah, I don't think we
had
did
one. Yeah, we had none in the fall. We had none going most of last spring, and then the last 3 weeks, like usual, it just took off.
And I bring that up. I know there were some other places that were having issues with red cards and giving in soccer that they felt it was more than what was warranted. And I just want to say, maybe there should have been red cards in the fall that we could have given, but I didn't get any complaints that we weren't giving red cards. So I just, you guys all do a fantastic job, and I appreciate you all coming on tonight and listening to this webinar. This helps ground all of us again as we start the high school season, kind of get us mentally focused on what we're about to encounter. For all of you that have done high school boys in the past, this is a different game than our other games. And I just want us to be the level-headed ones, and I want us to manage the games appropriately so that it's enjoyable for everyone. So that's really what I want to say. And for those of you that don't do high school and sat and listened to this conversation tonight, a lot of this information I shared is just as applicable in your youth and adult games. It's definitely transferable knowledge and skills. With that, I'm going to just do a quick plug for the President Cup and state championships rules. Make sure that everybody knows where to find those. And so as we'll have the girls high school age, and then the I think 10 through U14 kids, both the President's Cup as well as the championship state finals will be starting up here before we know it. What's important is that you know where to get those rules. So if you go to Cups on the Washington Youth Soccer page and you click on the state championship, this will give you the 2022-2023 state championships rules. So as you do these games, the assigners, we try to put that in the notes or somehow note it in the match. Sometimes you may show up to the field and the scheduler didn't inform the assigner that it's a cup game. So the teams will probably let you know that, or you're going to know that by the roster. And you just need to make sure that you have the information to be able to follow those rules, or maybe even have them on your phone. So in case you need to reference them because someone's asking a question, you'll know where to get them. But you can find both the President's Cup and then the championships rules on the Washington Youth Soccer page. Anybody have any questions in regards to those two cups coming up? Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan McKenzie then, who's going to help us, that for those that need help in being able to write better misconduct reports, so that way we can get your misconducts upheld with disciplinary committees.
Yeah, all right. Good evening, everybody. I am going to share my screen really quick to my PowerPoint presentation. Everybody can see that. Richard, nod your head. You're the one I can see. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is a brief refresher on misconduct report writing. As the director of mentoring, I kind of hear both sides of what goes on between assigners, referees, and the leagues. I get to watch a lot of soccer. I get to listen to a lot of referees, and I get to listen to a lot of assigners and the problems that they go through with misconduct writing. So I felt it important enough to go back and revisit this. This won't necessarily help you for the high school season unless you have a red card, but it is a good thing to get into practice for as the season goes on and the games get more important. All right, so coming up first, kind of going over the goals and why we're doing this. One, to help bolster our understanding of the laws of the game. I know that whenever I am going through and writing my misconduct reports for a yellow card, for a send-off, or even for supplemental reports as it relates to violent conduct or foul and abusive language, or for those types of things, I always try and have my laws of the game book handy. You don't necessarily need the hard copy, but it is helpful to have that in front of you because you can use the exact verbiage in there. Second one, and I kind of alluded this earlier, it makes our assigners' lives much easier. As you mostly will know, a lot of your assigners sit on that disciplinary committee. And so they are the ones that are going through and then forwarding those on to the league, especially as it pertains to send-offs. Or if you're in a league that has yellow card accumulation, then those will also be forwarded on to the league. And then last, but certainly not least, it helps us walk through our decisions of misconduct in the moment. I know that especially as I've gotten later into my refereeing career, I start to walk through my laws of the game and FIFA considerations as I'm giving out misconducts or I'm thinking about giving out misconducts. It often walks me into the right solution or the best solution rather than making a rash instinct based off of your feeling. All right, so we're going to run through 3 examples. The first 2 being some examples that we need to do some work on. And so I'll ask for some help from the audience. And then our last example is going to be a shining example of exactly what we're looking for. And then our last one is we will watch a video clip and then we will put together the report on the NSO website. That way we all know exactly how to do it on the website so that there's no confusion going forward, at least with the people on this call. And then obviously try and help your fellow referees as you can. All right, so example number 1, I will put up the screenshot of the report that we can see on the back end of the NSO website. All right, so here's our first one. I'll give you all a moment to read it. Excuse the French here. I'll try and block it as best as I can, but we all see it and we all hear it. So I'll let somebody take this one. So can someone give me kind of a couple of the problems that we might have with this report? It can be anybody. Go ahead.
The reason says that it's at risk of being considered inappropriate,
Yep.
which I think maybe does not meet the definition.
Yep. So that's one of them. Does anybody want to take a stab at what else might be the problem here?
Do you give a red card to a coach for dissent, or was there something bigger?
Yep.
Here's an easier question. Do you give a red card for dissent?
Yes, you can. Yes, yes.
Well, foul and abusive language.
Yeah.
You're given a red card for somebody stating their opinion in an uncolorful or colorful manner, right?
Exactly. Yeah, so a multitude of problems with this one. So we'll kind of run through the laundry list because I got a lot more time to look at this than you guys did. So first and foremost, let's start at line 1, field number 1. Our offender is head coach. On the NSO website, this is supposed to be the name and number of the person. So we already have a problem. So skipping over the role, because obviously they're a coach, skipping over the team that is blacked out. Now we have card, and it's an expulsion. So obviously we're not supposed to be using an expulsion for what sounds like a yellow card. Again, there's a little bit of confusion in the description itself as to whether this was a yellow card or not, because they gave for dissent, and then they also used foul language, which is part of foul and abusive language. So a little bit of confusion there. So taking all of that into consideration, is there anybody that would like to take a stab at rewriting this report to help make this a better report given the information that we have?
I'll try.
Go ahead.
First off, have the head coach's name, which will say like is Sam Blumenfield, coach. Team's name, card was a caution for behavior at risk of being irresponsible. And then we'd leave the 9F and the 65. A bit more detail at the 65th minute of the match, following a call for whatever foul we're going to say, that the coach rose from his bench to the edge of the technical area and shouted out that that's a shit decision. I cautioned him accordingly for behavior risk of being irresponsible, period. If there were no further incidents by this coach, there were no further incidents by this coach, period.
Great. Yeah, that is outstanding. Thank you for that. So I put this as a rewrite, the offense being a yellow card for dissent. And then pretty much the same as yours. I just ripped the verbiage from the laws of the game instead. So I said in the 65th minute, head coach, insert head coach's first and last name, excuse me, dissented by word when he said, insert exactly what the coach said. Head coach, insert their first and last name there, was shown a caution for dissent by word or action. Excuse me. I like the part that you added in there where no further incidents happened. So
can I ask
all in
a
all,
question?
great stuff. Yes, absolutely.
Why even add the following no further actions? If there's a further action, you would book him for further action. This is one action in itself. I think that nothing else happens later on. That's an opinion.
Right.
And if we're only going to give facts, stop with the facts about what just happened right here and stop there, because anything else would be different.
Right. Ray, I do appreciate you adding that. Thank you. All right. So now that we've kind of gotten to a common ground, we will move on to our next example. All right. So now we got this one. Go ahead and take a moment to read. Okay, now that everybody's gotten a moment to read this one, as a mentor, I always like to start with the positive. The positive being here that the offender's name was included. So that's a positive at the very beginning. They will be able to find them on the roster. Then kind of moving on, we start to get into trouble once they describe the incident. So a description of tried to use his hand to punch a player of Gunners from behind, but missed. Does anybody have any issues with this one?
Yes.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
The law would be strikes or attempt to strike, and that is violent conduct.
Right. And so that was why earlier I mentioned the bit about including your laws of the game, either book You can use the app on your phone, or you can pull it up on just on a browser on your computer. It's all free. The hardcover book obviously is not free, but if you want a hardcover version of it, that is available to you. And then this is also why I started to talk about using the laws of the game while you're making your misconduct decisions. That way you arrive to what the right decision is, the best decision is in that moment, using your laws of the game. That way, after the match is over and you're having to write a misconduct report for something like this, your assigner doesn't, or whoever's on the disciplinary committee or your assigner doesn't have some raised eyebrows. So does somebody want to take a stab at rewriting this misconduct report for me?
I'll do it. So first off, needs to be changed to a send-off instead of a caution, and the reason should be for violent conduct. And say in the 20th minutes, blah blah blah, player number whoever attempted to punch an ISC Gunners player from behind. That's all we really needed to say. I mean, you can't say miss, but that's pretty much it. He was shown a red card and immediately told to leave the field. Done.
Right. Yep. Short, concise, to the point, includes the facts, no opinions. I will show you what my misconduct report would look like for this one. In the 20th minute, player number and then number listed on the roster for that day. Insert the player's first and last name. Attempted to strike Gunners FC player with a, and then you can describe the method of contact. So closed fist, open palm, things like that. And then describe what your sanction was. And then you're done, right? Very simple, short, sweet, to the point. Any questions regarding this one?
I just have a quick generic question. What is the field spot for? Where is that spot on the field, and how, or
yeah,
how's that?
Yeah, so this actually helps us later on. I will show you on the Northwest Soccer Officials website what that actually means. So I will answer your question later, but thank you for asking that. All right, so we will move on from this one. I will keep your question in mind for later, and you will have that answered. We'll go to example number 3, and then we'll have a little bit of fun with the video clip. So this is our shining example that I wanted to use. This is ripped from a supplemental report. So just keep that in mind, that there is a little bit more to this one than meets the eye. Okay, so the reason why I wanted to point to this one was that it kept to the facts of the incident. It helped show the disciplinary committee what exactly happened with this one. Not every league assigner disciplinary committee will ask you to fill out a supplemental for something like this, but this was just to make it easier to describe what exactly happened. It's off of the screenshot here, but the other field spot is right there for the second incident. And I just opined that it was great because it was all factual. Great. All right, let's do one together. So that way I don't put everybody to sleep.
Before that, Jonathan, question in the chat. Best practice, should we include the restart after the misconduct, penalty kick, free kick, etc.?
I would say no. It's a bit of unnecessary information. I would say putting the sanction is kind of where it should stop, because then after that, that's not information that the disciplinary committee really needs, and may even put you in unnecessary trouble if you're not restarting the game correctly. So maybe choose to omit it. Okay, let me see here. So, oh boy, everybody loves the Premier League, huh? Okay, let's see here. I think I need to optimize for video clip. Okay, let's see. I will put my Zoom back up. And all right, so keep in mind that we are trying to write a misconduct report for this one. So keep it either written down or put it in your head what the misconduct report for this incident will be. It will be very obvious what the incident I am looking for is. All right, let's play. All right, I will play it one more time just in case. All right, hey, let's minimize this one. Okay. Going back to my slide here, who wants to take the stab at this one? Uh-oh. Am I still here?
Yes, you are.
Yes,
Okay.
you're here, Jonathan.
Okay, great. My Zoom said it crashed. Okay, who wants to take the stab at this one? Again.
Were you going to go in and do it off of the NSO website or?
Yes, but I want somebody to opine on what the misconduct report would be while I pull up the NSO website.
Jonathan, I'll take a stab. This is KD.
Hey, go ahead.
Yeah, so I forgot the number of the player, but the red and white player should be issued a caution for simulation in whatever minute. I would give you the detail of where it occurred, the players involved, but the penalty, not a penalty, but the misconduct there is a yellow card for simulation.
Yep, great. So yeah, my example on there was in the 76th minute, and again, this is the benefit of me getting a look at this and also looking at the roster. In the 76th minute, Brian Mbumo, player number 19, attempted to deceive the referee by pretending to have been fouled in the penalty area. An indirect free kick was awarded, and player number 19 was shown a caution for unsporting behavior. Pretty simple, short, sweet, to the point. And then let's go ahead.
Should we use the word simulation because that's the word they use in the laws of the game?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so moving on, let me go ahead and share screen again. Boom. Okay, so we're on the NSO website. If you want to get to exactly where I am, if you want to follow along at home, I am in referee, already logged in, and under misconducts. And then in order to create a new one, you hit the prompt and then retrieve a match number. I've already pulled a match that has not happened yet. So that way this won't screw up anything. Let's walk through this one together so that way we all understand what we are looking for here. So first, for the authority, it should already.
Well, if it looks like we finally lost Jonathan.
I think I'm back.
He's back.
Goodness gracious. I'm pulling a Wayne here by having tech problems.
I'm learning from you, Jonathan.
Oh, great. Okay. Okay. Hopefully that does not happen again. But we'll speed run through this one. That way we don't. Hopefully we can avoid it. So for this one, hopefully the authority would be autofilled for you. Maybe that's something that your assigner will fix. So then moving forward, all this information right here is auto-filled for you. If you put in the match number correctly, all your teams should be in there. And then the only parts that you should have to fill in are what type of offender it is. We don't use fan anymore. We don't use other. We probably shouldn't be using team without asking your assigner first. So coach, manager, or player. For this one, because we're using our example from earlier, it is a player on Brentford FC. We will pretend that our home team is Brentford FC because we're all Premier League referees for right now. And we will enter in the person's name. I am going to butcher it. Perfect. Okay, so now we get to the offense itself. We don't use expulsion, warning. Let's use caution or send off. For this one, it's caution. And for reason. So it doesn't get specific to what the actual offense was, but in the laws of the game, simulation or attempting to deceive the referee is under unsporting behavior. So you put unsporting behavior. And then earlier we got a question about the field spot and field codes. So this is where I will answer your question. So on the NSO website, you should get a great little picture like this. And so if we were to fill it out for this offense, I would say the closest one would be 3B. So we will just scroll down and we will hit 3B. So if we go 1, 2, 3, and then A, and then B, this is about where the incident occurred. It doesn't necessarily need to be 100% accurate. Try and keep it as close as you possibly can. For the offender ID, Richard, I'm willing to be corrected here, but I believe this is where we would put in the ID number of the player.
No,
No,
there's nothing there to put there. We don't get player ID numbers.
Not anymore.
sometimes if
usually-
they give you the roster, they have the player ID numbers on them. That's pretty rare though. I actually did see a misconduct report with that filled in earlier today, but for the most part, 99.99% of the games that you're gonna fill out a misconduct report for on NSO, you will not have that.
Okay, is this a required field? I don't believe so, right?
It is not.
Okay, so we can put NA.
Or just leave blank.
Or leave blank, perfect. For jersey number, let's always make sure that we at least grab the jersey number. This was player number 19. For team ID, I don't believe we get that, right? Yeah,
No.
Okay. And then this was in the 76th minute. And then boom, we can copy and paste our misconduct report that we had earlier. And so this should be everything that you need to fill out in order to have a misconduct report. Again, the most important parts being that we identify the offender correctly by their first and last name as it is written on the roster, the jersey number as it is on the roster, the offense and the reason, the field spot being less important, the minute, and then the description that describes the incident, but does not include any extra opinion or feelings. And so after you're done with that, I believe we hit update. I don't want to remove all of this. And then you would hit, I don't need to, okay. So normally you would hit submit, but I believe because there is an issue with the authority on the match, it won't let me.
And you also need to change it from unfinished to new.
It won't let me do that either.
It's a
That's my
future
big issue.
dated one, so probably
Yeah.
a blocker. So Richard, is there a way to get rid of the fields or elements in the drop down we don't want folks to use?
No, because this is software that's utilized by many different places.
Okay, it can't be that, we can't be that picky choosy with Red Star then, okay.
No.
Bummer.
So Jonathan,
Yep.
Tyler Lipton just asked the question whether we should put in the restart details and your answer was no, because you might open yourself up to criticism that you restarted it incorrectly. So do we even need to input that we had an indirect free kick awarded? Is that superfluous information here?
Yeah, so you could just take this out and go boom, and then you're done. That way, referring to it as opening up a can of worms, maybe we don't want to do that when we're writing misconduct reports, when they can just be this simple.
Thank you.
Any other questions before I stop sharing and then get us done right on time?
Just one thing, Jonathan, as someone who receives phone calls from a league office when people are filling out match reports, you kind of said it at the very end there, but I wanted to re-stress that. They don't care what we think. They don't care how long we think the person should be suspended for or what punishment they should get. It's strictly facts, right? So all that extra stuff that we put in there, they ignore it and they get annoyed when they have to read it. That's one piece of feedback I get consistently. And then the other one is by someone just saying, oh, they used foul language. And they're like, what's foul? Like, did they call you an effing a-hole or something else? And so they want specific quotes, exactly what was said. And you don't need to leave it out or put asterisks or anything. Everyone on the committee that's reviewing those are around it enough that they want it to be specific. And that's the other thing I've had to circle back with referees and have them add supplemental reports because they didn't put enough information in there. So those are probably like the two biggest pieces of feedback that I get, that if we can drive those home, I think it would help a lot.
Great. Thank you for adding that, Ryan.
Yep.
All right. I have nothing else to add, so I will forward it back to Richard.
Yeah, there's some question about tournament misconducts. And so when for tournaments, the sponsors of the tournament have to report how many misconducts are given. And that's why when you do tournament games, you need to report your misconducts and fill out your misconduct reports. Now, we don't get rosters prior to those games. So your two options, you have three options. You have one option of asking the player for their name when you give the misconduct. Secondly, you can, once you have the number and the name, you can go to the tournament headquarters to get the name. Third, you can just use the player's number in the name field to be able to file your misconduct report, because if we need to do disciplinary action, it's going to be during the tournament, and I or whoever's the tournament assigner can then work with the tournament to get the name as necessary. So those are kind of the pieces to in regards to issuing misconducts at tournaments. Ryan, your answer to do you include that you warned players prior to issuing a misconduct? So often, especially in like persistent infringement, as referees, we try to help the players keep themselves from getting into trouble, and we would warn them that they needed to stop fouling because they've had too many fouls. So if I was doing a misconduct around persistent offenses, I guess that's what it's called now, I would make sure that I included that I had warned the player about their persistent offenses before actually giving them the card. Wayne, is there any, or Jeremy, anything else in the chat that we need to address?
There's a couple out there, yeah. If we warn verbally prior to showing a card, should we note that in reports? So
that's what I just answered.
Yeah, you can. I was thinking more like a red card. If you warned verbally and went straight to red, that's where my mind went, which is like not necessarily what we want. So I just want to kind of reiterate that as well. Did you want to add a little more sauce to that one?
Nope, that's perfectly right. You're saying that a warning and then straight to a red may not be the appropriate path, because you probably maybe should have had a yellow in between, depending upon the offense.
Yes, there are some that go straight, they're straight to red worthy, but at that point, you should be riding only on the red card, not on the warning.
Yeah, warnings don't mean much at that point anymore.
Richard, I may want to. Richard, I would like to hitchhike a little bit on that. If the offense is against the coach, you may want to, include the warnings as you've warned them before you have showed them the caution. So you've followed the procedure.
Yep, that's another good one. Dissent might be a good one in which where you have used that warning tool prior to the misconduct, and that would be good to put in your report.
Yeah.
Richard, I got a question on that, and this follows what Wayne just said and something Ryan said. Ryan said that the league does not care about your opinion. In one of my recent misconducts, it was by a coach's dissent, and I used verbiage that was in our training for that. You give a caution when it's personal, public, or provocative, and I think there might be a fourth P if it's persistent. And I use those words in my misconduct report. That shouldn't be misconstrued as an opinion, right? It was personal and it was provocative, right?
Yeah,
correct.
no,
Yeah, correct.
yeah, you're using the terminology for the behavior that was misconduct worthy.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, opinion would be, I think this coach should sit for 6 weeks because of what they said to me.
Got it. Okay.
Or this coach made me feel bad about myself because of what he said.
Okay.
This one's a question about, I think, persistent infringement. If you give a caution for multiple fouls, do you just log the last foul in the report?
You're not really logging the fouls. It's just that you say it's for persistent offenses. I think that we understand what that means. And if you want to say there were 2 or 3 fouls committed in a short period of time, a statement, a factual statement is all, and that kind of leads up to why you gave it for persistent offenses. But, I don't think you're really logging any fouls at all, other than in your head.
Yeah, you don't need to write the list out. Yeah.
Nope.
I have a quick question for clarification. If you caution someone a second time, so they get the red per second card, you write up misconduct report for the first caution, obviously. You write up a misconduct report for the second caution, and then you write up a third one for the red, or just
no, you only have to write 2 misconduct reports, one for the first caution. The second misconduct is going to be for the send-off. It will be for the reason of a second caution, and you will describe that you'll describe the second cautionable offense, and then say because the player already had a caution, the player was sent off.
And that's on the pull down bar on their ejection. Okay, thank you.
Good question. Any other questions about misconduct? Okay, I appreciate everybody hanging out another extra 7. I know we try to get done at 8. I want all those that have to go because you only planned on an hour. Feel free, you can sign off. I'm willing to stick around for a few more minutes if anybody had some questions that we didn't get time to answer them. So if you got to go, please go. Otherwise, you can stick around. So Kenji, there's a fitness test this Sunday, the 5th, and it's at Kent School, right? We're going to Kent
at French Field.
French Field at Kent Meridian. Okay, perfect. And if you want to do that, you probably should. You better go on and sign up tonight. I'm not sure when it closes. Do you, Wayne?
We're probably going to close it Thursday.
Okay. And then I know that Wayne is actively looking at 3 other dates for the rest of 2023. And I think he's working on trying to get those published here in the next couple of weeks. What time does the fitness test start at, Wayne?
You sign in if you're depending on the running group, but you're going to start signing up at 9:30. If you're in the first group, you're going to be running at 10. There's going to be at least 2 groups.
And Wayne, how long does the fitness test last? And then second question for anyone who's done it, would you recommend doing officiating matches after the fitness test?
It takes approximately 45 minutes to run through the sprints and the interval tests with the rest and everything. So that's how long it takes to get through one cycle. I'm not going to answer the second part of that question.
I will answer the second part, Wayne. The answer to
Okay.
that question is no. And here's the reason why. If you run a fitness test, first of all, it's mentally draining and physically draining. Therefore, how good could you be for a match after running a fitness test? If you're going to do a fitness test, and the next time you do a game, if you're lucky, will be the following week, but at the earliest the next day. That's out of respect for the players who are playing in a game you might want to ref.
Thank you, Ray.
So I'm gonna talk a little bit more from a signer perspective from what Ray just said, because I know we have lots of games this coming weekend, and I know that probably many of you would be able to do a U12, U11 game after running the fitness test. But what Ray's trying to say to you is you probably shouldn't be going and doing a boys U19 or a girls U19 game after you run the fitness test, because you're not going to have enough in the tank to be able to do it. I see Tad asked the question about there's referees who give misconducts and don't write reports. That's going to be a great one to get yourself in trouble with an assigner when the clubs or coaches contact an assigner and ask, where's this misconduct, so they can get it through the disciplinary process. And that would be what I call career limiting in assignment. So I do not advocate for not writing your misconducts. If you're taking the time to show the misconduct, then you got to give the time to write the report. Anybody else have anything?
Richard, Saturdays this Saturday, if people are interested as well.
Yep, the SRC is holding the Sounders Day at Lumen Field on Saturday. You can go on and on the SRC website, you can sign up to be able to attend that clinic and get to go do a field practicum on Lumen Field. It's a great event. The question was asked that when you do your misconducts and when you have 2 yellows, if you in your match had a total of 2 yellows and then a red for the send-off of 2 cautions, when you do your misconduct report, you would count that as 1 caution and 1 red. Otherwise, if you do it as 2 cautions, it's going to be looking for another report in order for you to be able to self-assign the game. Anything else?
Hey, Richard. Not about misconduct, but walking back to the WOA. I recently relocated here. How do we get signed up for that if we're not already on it?
Yeah, send me an email and I will I can get that taken care of for you.
Thanks.
Do we know what time the Sounders Day training kicks off at Lumen Field?
I think check-in was listed at starting at 10 and then it starts at 10:30, I believe.
Yeah, 10:30, and then we're going to be through by 2. So there will be no lunch break or anything like that, okay?
Bring snacks?
No,
No,
no
bring
snacks.
snacks if you're hungry.
And then there is the ability to buy, I think, discounted tickets to the game that night. Also, when it'll give you a way to do that if you're interested in discounted tickets and hanging out with your fellow referees. Okay, it's getting quiet. I'm going to let you all go. Thank you, everyone, for
Thank you.
participating. Thank you for going out there day in and day out and getting all these games covered for us. I know the players and coaches and administrators appreciate it. We appreciate you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you out on the pitch soon.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Richard.
Hey there, how's it going, Kaylee?
It's going. I'm really busy right now because spring break's coming up and I'm graduating in the spring, so I have a lot of work to do.
So you must not be doing too many games?
No, and that's like it's weird that the way they do it here. So both boys and the girls play in the fall.
Oh,
So I'll do like 40 games just in my college town in the fall and then do none in the spring.
okay.
Yeah.
Richard, one quick question, please.
Yeah.
For the Sounders clinic, any equipment, or how should we be dressed? Is it like a normal clinic, training, practice? What to expect is the first time I'm attending that clinic.
Just wear obviously clothing that's going to keep you warm and dry, because chances are we're going to have wet. But you don't, and probably I would suggest to bring a whistle. You don't need to bring flags. You may want to bring your cards, but that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice evening.
So when do you get done with school then, Kaylee?
My graduation is on May 13th, I think.
Okay. And what's the big plans for after that?
Hopefully I'm gonna get the paperwork back for a new internship for the summer, and so I'll probably start that right away. So just stay down in Albuquerque for the summer.
Okay.
Yep. Working life is hard.
She's not telling you, Richard, what you want to hear. Yes, she is scheduled for some games on her break.
I see your name pop up every once in a while. I'm always appreciative. I'm always appreciative when I see it.
Yeah. Well, otherwise I'd just be sitting at home doing absolutely nothing for a week. So it's like,
It was odd that we tried to get on that Kent Lake game, but we saw it in the master and it came up originally, but then neither one of us could assign ourselves to Kent Lake. And
I don't know if, Dad, I don't know if I'm allowed to do Kent Lake because I went to Kent Lake.
Oh. You know,
I cannot assign any Kent Lakes.
Well, that may be because you're both blocked.
Shame on you.
Well, it's not my fault.
Part of it is I set those blocks when I learn about people's affiliations, and then I don't do very good at undoing them because, you know, I forgot that I said it 4 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, actually, that would be.
Okay, it'd be a few more years than that.
That would be 7 years ago now.
I'm gonna go look right now.
Appreciate it.
So I don't forget.
Good to talk to you, Bug. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad.
See, look at that. I'm glad. See, I said it in 2017.
Well, yeah. Jeez.
See, Kaylee, that was only 6 years ago.
Okay, well, this is my third year. This is my third year of college. So I was like going plus 4 years of high school. So, you know.
There you go.
Give me an extra year. Don't make me feel quite as old. How are you doing, Wayne?
Good. How are you?
Good. Pretty good. You know, college is.
I miss seeing you. I get to see you see your dad all the time.
Yeah, he gets around.
Wayne, I'm disappointed. I haven't seen you. I didn't see you at all during the girls' season, and I haven't been able to match up with you on any of the boys.
Well, we may still, that may still happen.
I hope so.
Okay, Jeff, you can assign to Kent Lake now, so you don't have to drive so far anymore.
No, it actually just gives me another school I can put on the list. I'm trying not to do too many of one school, so it's nice to
Yeah.
get those spread out.
I forgot to mention that today, now that you say that, to remind people, since the technology doesn't prevent it from happening, we have to rely upon our officials to try to not see teams too often.
Now, if I could just figure out how to do that with centers also, I'd be good.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you don't get to see who's on it before you take it.
I don't, because I pull the old trick. I actually go in and change the date to the following day, so I can actually get in a little early. It's kind of nice when you self-assign, you go into the calendar and you pick the following day after 9 o'clock at night. And you'll actually pick up a day.
Yep. Yeah, because it runs off the Eastern time zone.
Yep. Now don't let that secret out, please.
Yeah.
For us old timers who like to plan our lives.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And
Okay,
plan
well,
our
I'm gonna,
daughters.
Okay, Richard, I'm gonna go.
yeah, I am too. I gotta go spend some time with the family tonight.
Or didn't
Thanks,
you do that
gentlemen.
yesterday?
Pardon?
Didn't you do that yesterday at the Sounders
I
game?
got to spend the evening with them, yeah. Yeah.
Nice talking to you guys. Good to see you.
Okay.
Yep, you too.
Good
We'll
to
see you later, Kaylee.
Bye.
Hey, Wayne, do you have a second?
I do.
Do you want to talk? Can you talk for a second about SRC stuff?
Yes.
Thank you for the list of who you guys are doing video clips with.
Actually, we're doing more than video clips.
Okay.
I mean, we're doing, that's some of it, okay, but we did a thing like how to mentor was another thing we did with Mo's group, you know,
Yeah.
because